Buddy, welcome back to my gallery. It's just a small part of the world that I live in. It's not much, but it's what I got. A lot of people today are getting interested in the fine art of survivalism and preparedness. But there's a lot of information out there that is dubious at best. So we have to wade through an entire universe of tips and hints and claims and counterclaims and suggestions made by a lot of different people on how to prepare, what you need to prepare for, what do we really need to expect in the coming times. One of the best ways we can learn preparedness is to learn, and we can learn two ways. We can do things the hard way, or we can go out, buy some books, borrow some books. Libraries are all over the place. There's dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of preparedness books out there. I'm going to do a shameless bit of advertising here. I've got two books of my own that I have out. One of them is Surviving the Times, and the other one is A Handy Disaster Preparedness Guide. Both a couple of good books. I put a lot of work into them. Over the last 3 years writing these and writing some other ones that I have. Bigger book that I have, Surviving the Times, is available for 20 bucks, and again you can download that also as a PDF file and learn a little bit more. Basically what this one does is I take you through the steps of setting up your preparedness plan binder, which I recommend everybody do. Binders are pretty easy and cheap to do. You can get a 3-ring binder for about $1 or $2 at just about any discount store, and a pack of paper that fits in there for about the same amount. You can divide it up into different sections that cover your various categories. We'll get into that a little bit later with some more of the details here, but I want to go through in this first segment the books that I always keep on hand for bug-out situations, and these 3 books in particular I keep right in my bug-out bag all the time. One of them is a small one. It's a pocket version of the SAS Survival Guide. I paid about $8 for it at a bookstore that unfortunately is closed, and we don't have a good one in town anymore. Second one is the American College of Emergency Physicians Pocket First Aid Book. That was $7. It's a good book. It's got a lot of glossy pictures and information that you can use to help you through most any medical emergency. Third and final, and actually most important, is Edible Wild Plants. It's a Peterson field guide. This one cost me about 20 bucks at a local bookstore. It's divided up into different sections. And it does have in the middle some nice color plates, so you can get some good descriptions of what you're looking for. But these will tell you what the plants are, how to find them, the locations that you can find them in, descriptions of the plants, what parts of the plants you can eat, and how to prepare them and what they're good for. They have a good coding here that tells you what you can. What type of food you can get out of it. For instance, here on page 15 they have a nice explanation of symbols. Tells you all the different ways that you can eat these, and it doesn't really go into a lot of medical tips and hints here, but there's some other things that you can do for that. But these are the basic books that I carry with me all the time. Edible Wild Plants, SAS Survival Guide, and First Aid. Those are your 3 basic books that are going to carry you through just about any emergency. Let's go into some detail. But these are the three favorites of mine for pocket guides. I keep them in my bug-out bag all the time because you never know when you're going to need them. Number 1, you have the Peterson Field Guide to Edible Wild Plants. You have the SAS Survival Guide, and then you have the American College of Emergency Physicians Pocket First Aid. They're all good books. I would suggest that you try to find them if you can. make sure that you keep them in your own Bugout bag. But first, my good book, Surviving the Times. It's basically a frank discussion on how to survive the coming times and get ready for it. It's not a long-term guide for anything, but again, you can get it for 20 bucks, and both of these books you can get by going to dlcc.com, by the way, and just clicking onto the title. But in here we look at why survival and preparedness is important. Then we go right into your preparedness plan binder, and we look at various issues such as documentation, water, nutrition, sanitation, safety and security, transportation, long-term needs, go bags and bug-out kits, and first aid. And again, this is your binder when you put it together, so whatever you do is up to you. Make it so that it suits your needs and not somebody else's. And we look into some specific areas of preparedness planning and needs. We look at respirators and gas masks, emergency building repairs, emergency heating and cooling, cooking, survival armory, gold and silver for your survival. Then we look at some specific areas that you might have some problems with coming up down the road. And then we conclude by looking at some of the helpful websites and various things that are also in the Handy Disaster Preparedness Guide too as well. So again, it's very important that all of these resources be available when the grid goes down and the internet is no longer available. A lot of these numbers are going to be hard to find, if not impossible, because of the way things are going to be overloaded for what systems there are. But again, these are available at my website. And one of the things that I'm going to be talking about, and you'll notice that I bring up frequently, is something called the SWAFO pyramid. We're going to get into that in a special video that deals specifically with the basics of emergency planning and disaster preparedness. But your plan is the central point of your ability to survive the coming times, and your plan is blocked up or propped up by your need for food, water, and safety. And this is why I came up with the SWAFO pyramid. You have safety, water, and food. All three together, along with your plan, make a pyramid of survival. So that's something that you want to make sure that you pay attention to. Keep checking back here on these video pages, and we'll have more on that. But we'll get into the books that you need in your Bugout bag. The SAS Survival Bag. It's by John Lofty Wiseman, who is a survival guru. It's pretty thick, you can tell, but it's not very long or wide, so it's a pretty light book. But it's got a lot of information on there. You look at the essentials, how to be prepared, some of the equipment, survival kits, pouches, knives, facing disaster, water, salt, climate and terrain you have to deal with. There's a lot of different things in here that are covered in just a small amount of time. There's no real in-depth, but you take, like, if you're along the coast, you can learn how to identify some of the seaweeds that you can use for edible foods. Different types of shelters, such as the WikiUp, which you find some information about this in other places too. For instance, if you want to go to my website, www.survivaltimestoday.net, I got a lot of the information that's in here from different sources and from my own experience that's also shared in here. It's one of the things that you want to pay attention to is the fact that a lot of the stuff that's repeated is repeated because it's good information. So you have a section on edible plants and things like that. This is something you want to carry always with you. Again, it's a good pocket size. You can put it in the cargo pants pocket of your pants. Second one that I want to make sure that you carry all the time is your first aid. This is a very good one. It's small, it's light, it's not very thick. And again, I only paid $7 for it, but it's chock full of information that you can use with a lot of color, glossy photographs that show you a lot of the things that you need to do. For instance, checking breathing on a child, what to do when you find an unconscious adult in your party, different ways that you can check for pulses, bandaging, how to take care of wounds, and things like that. It's a very good book. It's well worth having. The two of them together. This is your basic one. You want to have this no matter what. This is a good add-on. It's not very thick, so the two that you're looking at here are you know, just a couple inches max, and they will fit into a cargo pocket of most work jeans or hiking pants. The important one that you want to look at for eating is again, edible wild plants. There's a lot of different books out there, but I like this one. It's a good size to carry. It fits tightly into a cargo pocket on my my shorts, but it's very good. Again, in the middle you have a bunch of color plates that tell you what the pictures or what the plants that you're looking for really should look like. For instance, this one of the northern wild raisin. Got another one on that page of the red choke cherry. Here's an interesting one of the wild calla, common spice bush, sweet gale, and there's a lot of these plants around. Beginning next spring, I'm going to be doing a series of videos on these plants and how to identify them and prepare them in the wild. But they have a lot of black and white drawings. For instance, here's one on the Asiatic dayflower. It's a very common flower, at least in some of the places where I live. They have spiderwort, wrinkled rose, and this, by the way, if you happen to find any of these, you want to make sure that you try to take care of these plants. The hips that come from these wild roses actually contain an incredible amount of vitamin C. They're very helpful for you. So they're very good to make into teas and whatnot. So if you find any of them, make sure that you take care of them. Then you have your various wild berries and stuff like that. But this is a very good book. Again, it was more expensive. It was cost me $19, but well worth the money, and it's something that you can carry right in your backpack with you. So again, edible wild plants, pocket first aid guide, and your survival tips book. Those are the three books that should definitely be in your Bugout bag. Again, they're excellent books to have on hand. The information that are contained in them can very easily save your life. And then again, I want to do some advertising here. Surviving the Times. Frank discussions on how to survive the coming times. And also going to be doing a series going through this on video. And again, we want to look at what I call a Sawafo pyramid. It's basically my my concept behind the whole philosophy behind survival and preparedness, and what constitutes you know, the basic philosophy behind why we do what we do. But we'll get into that in another video. To learn more, go to survivaltimestoday.net. You'll be able to find more videos on survivalism, preparedness, all kinds of different information on getting ready to survive the coming time. And that's it for our show today. We'll see you next time on Survival Times Today.